here I am. And so the first thing to say is that on June 7th, we officially launched the Member Connect Hub. And that's an exciting initiative in which we can use to engage with each other and to provide a series of sessions around a whole different range of topics and different ways to engage. So hopefully you got your invitation. If you didn't, please let us know and we'll get one out to you. So what else have we been doing? So we had an MPKU Connect Forum, so for maternal women, and that was really successful. That's led by the Royal Melbourne Hospital, the adult service at the Royal Melbourne Hospital, and it was really, really successful and really well attended, and just gives the chance to do some education around obviously maternal PKU, but also for the new mums in our community, the new maternal PKU mums, to share their story and to connect with each other. So we also had our first Spotlight series, and that we started with Deb and Jill Collier, and the intention is that these, if you weren't able to attend these, that these are recorded sessions and you can go back to them. Look, I was just saying to Bella, I've heard Debbie's story many times before, but just sitting and talking to Jill and Deb together and hearing how difficult it was for her mum in the first years of Debbie's life as she fought for a diagnosis, fought to understand what was going on with her child, and then fought to get access to a treatment and to keep Debs on treatment. I found it really moving and quite inspiring. So if you didn't attend that, it's actually lovely. It's actually a great story to hear. It's a very powerful story. And so we intend to keep on doing the Spotlight. Tonight we'll talk to Daphne Dukas, and she'll talk about MMA, and I guess I thought it's just wonderful for us all to have a chance to learn about some of the other IEM disorders and to know a bit more about the challenges that they have compared to, I guess, lots of us here know a lot about PKU, but learning about the other ones is great, and sharing the commonalities that we have as well. So we also had on June the 24th a virtual happy hour, and that you're welcome to have a happy hour today too, because I've got my little wine which I'll be having throughout the night. So this is intended to be fun and informal, so feel free to sip away with me as I sip on my wine, and we'll have other virtual happy hours, and the idea of those is a chance for us just to connect in this world where it's much more difficult for us to be face-to-face than we're used to being. So, and many of us are hanging out for a chance to just connect with other members of our PKU and IM community. So hopefully this online opportunity is good for you. What have we got coming up? Okay, coming up, there's a few things. So there are our Connect groups, and they will be on the 13th of July. And if you can go to our Facebook group and let us know which ones you're interested in. So we've been doing a carers one, a one for rarer IEMs, a one for grandparents, for maternal women, for new parents, for PKU adults, PKU spouses, and PKU parents. So just giving a whole range of opportunities. You just go and say which one it is, and we'll set those groups up, and there will be a chance to just get engaged with other members of the community and share experiences and ideas and knowledge. So next Spotlight will be on the July the 22nd. I thought it was going to be the 15th. It's not. Okay. July the 22nd, we are having a Spotlight series that will be with Anita Inwood. Will present on the national guidelines for the use of sapropterin, which is Kuvan, which we know from the 1st of July has been listed for maternal women during the preconception and pregnancy phase. And Anita will talk about what the guidelines say, how the guidelines will be managed. So the metabolic clinics have worked on national guidelines to ensure that the way this is applied is consistent. The good news is that all maternal women will be given, of women of maternal age, will be have an opportunity to get load tested to see if they're responsive to this treatment. It is only for people who are responsive, so it's not going to be for everyone. As we know, Kuvan is not for everyone, but so if you are a maternal woman or at some time, it doesn't matter if it's still a way away. It's probably useful for you to know what the process is going to be to find out if you're responsive, and then what the processes will be once you decide to go ahead with preconception diet and yeah, so that's what's happening. That'll be a really information-led session. So that will be mainly on the guidelines and how the actual testing process is going to be handled. And then down the track, we will do a dietetic session with a dietitian who can talk about, now that that Kuvan will be available to some people, what that might mean for dietary management during pregnancy. So there will be, on the 10th of August, we're doing an Educational Connect forum, and that will be focused on adults returning to diet. So, you know, we know increasingly that's an important issue for people who've been off diet for any length of time, or who are struggling with their diet and trying to get back on track. So that will focus on that. And then there'll be an opportunity to also do some social connection as part of that event. Next slide, please, Bella. Okay, save the date. First ever global PKU scientific patient conference will happen on Friday the 10th and Saturday the 11th of September. Please write this one in your diary. This will be a massive logistical challenge. It is being coordinated by the MDDA. So Monique and Bella and her amazing team, they will be coordinating this, and so it will run over 3 time slots, but it will give us a chance to hear from experts around the world and focus on scientific developments in PKU. So pretty exciting. So I hope you can write that down and make yourself available for that. And that will be anything that we make from doing that conference will be, in terms of profit, will be given to the Global Association for PKU to present, to sort of push forward with those initiatives. And many of you will know that it was International Newborn Screening Day on Monday, and every Newborn Screening Day celebration reminds me that we are in the fortunate 35% of the world whose children are being screened for these disorders, and there's still 65% of the world who still need screening and need the opportunity that screening provides. And that's a really important part of what GAP is focused on. So advocacy update, I think if you've got the newsletter, I gave pretty extensive update. The key things remain for me. The two probably, or the biggest priority, is to ensure that all IEMs, people of all IEMs in Australia, have access to all of the available medications as soon as possible. For the rarer IEMs, most of those are still in clinical trial phase, but there are a number in clinical trials, so I'll be waiting to see what happens with those. For PKU, that means access to Kuvan for everyone. Still a huge priority for me. It may not be Kuvan, it may end up being a generic version, but that remains on the top of my wish list for advocacy, closely followed by having access to Peg-Valiase as well. So I'm working on those things all the time in the background, having conversations, laying the groundwork. I will be asking for your help with that shortly. The biggest help I'll be asking first is for people to complete a survey, which should come out shortly, and then for people to participate in focus groups. And the survey and the focus groups will be part of my data collection in preparing to make submission for a future application for Peg-Valiase and future applications for adults to have access to Kuvan. So I've been told by the Pharmaceutical Benefits Advisory Committee that I need more data. So I'm on a mission to collect that data. So that's a big part of advocacy over the next couple of months. The other thing that I have been working a lot on is the parliamentary inquiry into approval processes for rare disease therapies. And I expect that the findings from that inquiry, so I've presented to that inquiry twice, as well as making a submission on behalf of MDDA. I expect the recommendations for that inquiry to be out by the end of September. And the key recommendations from MDDA were about changing approval processes so that we can get access to medicines faster, so we don't wait as long as we do at the moment as rare disease patients. And the second bit was probably about the other IAMs, and it was about setting up access to clinical trials, or making it easier for Australian patients to access overseas clinical trials, which for many of our IEM our rarer protein IEMs will be the only way they access medication in the next couple of years. So they are probably my big priorities at this point in time. And if you know of any others I should be working on, feel free to let me know.